Hey guys, what's up? This is Dave. Just wanted to come and talk to you a little bit about land tonight because many people out there think that getting a land patent is going to solve other problems with their mortgage and they aren't going to have to pay property tax anymore and that their mortgage is totally done away with because I have a land patent. Well, sounds all good and whatever, but that's not the case, and I'm going to explain to you why. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about land patents, and what they involve in a mortgage and what they involve as well as property taxes. So first off, we have to find out what land is. Alright, most people generally think about land as, a place with a house and it has grass and a soil, maybe some trees and plants and whatever else, and they think of that as their land, all the dirt and everything else. Well, land has nothing to do with dirt or trees or anything like that, and I'm going to read you the definition here. I believe you can find it in Black's Law Dictionary. The last time I checked was the 6th edition. I think they're up to the 9th edition now. But it's originally quoted from Peter Butt, Land Law 9, 2nd edition from 1988. And in there, Peter Butt wrote, "Land is not restricted to the Earth's surface, but extends below and above the surface, nor is it confined to solids, but may encompass within its bounds such things as gases and liquids." A definition of land along the lines of a mass of physical matter occupying a space also is not sufficient, for an owner of land may remove part or all of that physical matter, as by digging it up and carrying away the soil, but would nonetheless retain as part of his land the space that remains. Ultimately, as a juristic concept, land is simply an area of three-dimensional space, its positions being defined by natural or imaginary points located by reference to the Earth's surface. Land is not the fixed contents of that space, although, as we shall see, the owner of that space may well own those fixed contents. Land is immovable, as distinct from chattels, which are movable. It is also, in its legal significance, indestructible. The contents of the space may be physically severed, destroyed, or consumed, but the space itself, and so the land, remains immutable. So there you have it. The law definition of land. Land is a three-dimensional space, and it does not involve any of the physical things within that may be found within that space. All right. Now, land is generally described in what's called a legal description. It's a two-dimensional description from point to point. In the 13 colonies, it might sound something like this. Starting at the post on this corner and going 700 perches to the north, and so many, then they get to another point, say so many degrees to the right, another so many perches to this point. Well, that's called meets and bounds. That's how it's done in the original 13 colonies. Outside the 13 colonies, the format is what's called section, township, and range, which is a different, type of description, but nonetheless, both are two-dimensional descriptions. So, well, how does it get three-dimensional then? Well, it's understood that land extends from the center of the earth to the heavens above. So, you take that two-dimensional description, drop it to the center of the earth, take it to the heavens above, bang, there's your three-dimensional space of land. Now, land is not tangible, it's intangible, you cannot touch it, meaning that it's not physical, it's just a space. You can reach into a space, you can pull your hand out of a space, whatever, but you can't ever actually touch the space. You can only enter a space. On the other side, you have houses, which are obviously physically, they're tangible, you can touch them. So houses are tangible property, soil's tangible property, trees, grass, minerals, oil, water, everything else that you can touch is called tangible property. So two big differences there. Land is intangible property, meaning you can't touch it, whereas a house, which is what's usually involved in a mortgage, is tangible property, also known as real estate in this instance. So, what is a land patent? Well, a land patent is a grant of land to the person who's getting the grant and their heirs and assigns forever, meaning it's a gift forever. Because a grant means a gift. So land isn't bought or sold, it's given. And since it was already given to their heirs and assigns forever in the patent, it can never be bought or sold. Alright? Now, let's take a look at a house. Well, a house isn't land, it's tangible property. You can touch it. It hasn't been given away to heirs and assigns forever. And therefore, it can be entered in contracts, bought and sold, rented, leased, whatever. Right? So, in most mortgages, people generally put up their house as collateral for a loan until the time that they pay back the loan in full, in which they then gain back all the title to that real estate, to the house, whatever. Okay? So, if you get a land patent, if the land patent already exists, if you secure your right and title to the land by getting the chain of assignment from the current warranty deed all the way back to the land patent, you're securing your right and title to the land. It has nothing to do with the property pertinent to the land. Well, it does a little bit, but I'm not going to go into that here. It doesn't negate any contractual obligations you enter into with your, you enter your house or real estate into. It has nothing to do with that, so it won't get you out of that for that reason. You can actually separate, the property pertinent to the land from the land, the titles. One person could hold the title to the land, and within the bounds of that land, there could be a house, and someone else totally different could own that house. Perfect example of that would be England. The royal family owns all the land, and the people own the property pertinent to the land. Like, you could buy a house in England, but you would never own right and title to the land because that's the royal family's land. The king and queen own it, so good luck. But anyways, so there you have it. Land patents have nothing to do with mortgages at all. Alright? So what about property taxes? Well, property taxes are a tax on tangible property. They have nothing to do with land. Land patent won't get you out of them either. Also, property taxes are contractual obligations as well. So, the only way to get out of that is never to enter that contract, or basically never enter that contract. So, or transfer the liability to someone else who wants to accept it. But anyways, what else was I going to go over? Okay, so how do you secure your land patent? Well, in order to secure your land patent, what you need to do is some research in your local county recorder of deeds office or wherever else the public record of deeds is in your state, county, etc. So you would go in there, you'd find your deed that grants you your rights, and you would see who the person was that granted it to you. Then you'd go back to the next one, and you'd follow that all the way back to the patent. And if you can't find all the way back to the patent, then, well, that's not really that great, but there's still other things you could do if that happens. Most instances, you should be able to find all that documentation, and you would want to get certified copies of all that documentation, so, because certified copies are seen as, a form of court evidence pretty much as good as the original, so. You would get certified copies of all that, all the way back to the patent, and also a certified copy of the patent and plat maps for the patent, etc. And then you would be able to prove that you're right entitled to the land. Anyways, so can land patents be used in a situation where you might be in foreclosure? Sure, they could definitely be used to your advantage if you know what you're doing and you've put in the necessary study and you know the law well enough to apply it. But outside of that, if you're looking for someone else to do it for you, that's not going to happen because most people don't know anything about this stuff, so you're going to have to do it yourself. But how would a land patent help you in a situation if you were facing foreclosure? Well, if you're facing foreclosure, obviously we already learned that they're after the real estate, the property pertinent to the land that you contracted or that you put under contract with them, okay? But if you own the land, that contract has nothing to do with the land. So what would happen if they foreclose? Well, they would get the property pertinent to the land, but you would still own the land, right? So you're in a very powerful position at this point because no one can enter your land without your permission, meaning they cannot come into your three-dimensional space without your either oral or written consent of some sort. So if someone could actually buy the house from the bank through foreclosure or whatever afterwards, and if you still own the land, you could actually keep them from getting to their property pertinent to the land because they can't come on there without your permission. So yeah, you can actually charge them so much. So like say someone owned a house on your land, you could charge them $1,000 a month just to have their house on your land if they wanted to access it. So it's a pretty good position to be in. That would mean, the person on your land is your tenant. And, tenants have to pay to be on your land. So, well, they don't have to if you let them on, but you might want to charge them. So what would that do? Well, that would be very bad for the mortgage company because no one's going to want to buy a house if they don't get the land too, because they know that they're going to need your permission to get on there and they might have to pay for it. No one's going to really want to buy that. So what that is called is a cloud on the title. So the title would be clouded for the next buyer of the real estate or the house, and that'll put you in a pretty good position because then you might be able to open up negotiations with the mortgage company once you disclose to them that they would have a cloud on the title because you're the owner of the land. So that would put you in a very, very powerful position. As far as property taxes, I'm not really going to go into any of that stuff because, to be honest, I'm not an expert on property tax because I don't own any land and I don't own any property pertinent to the land as far as a house or any, soil or anything like that. I have my own personal effects, but anyways, I think that's about it, right? Land patent, land, yeah, alright. So anyways, if you want to get into this stuff and do your own research, I highly, highly recommend going to this website, www.teamlaw.net. Again, that's www.teamlaw.net. They are a self-educational resource for learning the law firsthand. So what they do is help you learn the law effectively the first time around from your own personal experience, because if you just learn what someone else tells you and you don't learn from your own experience, you don't really learn that much. So if you want to learn the law, you have to study the law yourself. You can't just take someone else's word for what the law is from them telling you, because you have no idea what they're telling you what's right or not, so you got to do it yourself if you want to know that it's right. So they're not going to do any of your work for you, they're just going to help you learn the process of learning the law so that you can apply it and help us save this nation, because we're working to do that right now. So I highly recommend checking them out. They're a great resource. I've been with them for a couple years, or I've been reading their stuff for a couple years, so I've also been studying law for a few years now, and I could say that without them I would have been totally lost. So they have some really key information there that will set you up for learning the law right, and invaluable resource in my eyes. So check them out, www.teamlaw.net. Have a good night, guys. Take care.